to come back to Veritas in the early kind of early 90s. You get the flywheel running, so much to a point where you're able to do a very small IPO, raise I think 16 million, was it?
That's correct. Yeah.
And 64 million valuation, right? Market cap, and that IPO. So that's nice and encouraging. And then the next quarter, and I love this story. The next quarter, so now there's all this pressure, right? You got to make your quarter, and there is a deal that you're counting on that is in jeopardy, right? And then you literally get you beg from you. So just tell us about what happens with that. And you call it a black day in the company or something?
Yeah. So I believe that all companies experience black days. Days of no hope and only despair. Something terrible happens and you say, oh my God, it's like the end of the world. Companies experience this stuff, just something terrible happens, right? And that's what happened that day. We were first time as a public company. Our goal for the quarter was probably $2 or $2.5 million, and this was a $350,000 deal that fell out of bed. A deal that we had been working on for like close to a year, a development deal, an NRE deal with Sequent at that time, another Unix company, and I'm away with family, up in Point Reyes, and no email or text or anything, and I get this voicemail, and I get the news that they called up and they canceled, and we were counting on that to make the quarter, so it was like 15% of the quarter, and for the rest of the day, I have my aunt and uncle who are visiting us, and my wife. They're all talking to each other, and I'm living in a silent movie. I don't hear anything. All I'm doing is spinning on this and calling to the office for more news, and there isn't any, and everything. So this is a Friday, right? And the great news is that I had the weekend to think about it, and I came to the office on Monday, and it was a gloomy place. Everybody had heard the news, and everybody knew that we were just totally screwed. Everybody. I mean,
yeah, because if you don't make this, you're fresh off an IPO. Yeah, fresh off an IPO. Yeah, stocks.
Right? So all the engineers know, everybody in the building knows what's going on, and so we convene our staff meeting, and I turn around to everybody and say, look, I said this is a terrible crisis for the company. I said, first I'd like to say that we deserve to have this deal canceled because we really messed up on this project. We did. You
said that to the company.
I said, no, this is to my staff. We're in a staff.
To your staff. Yeah, to your staff. Yeah.
I said, we messed up, and I said, and we deserve to get this canceled. Shame on us. I said, I don't want to go out now and spend time to figure out all the things that we did wrong that we should improve, because I don't want to spend our time fixing the blame. I want to fix the problem. So let's start this process of doing, kind of a postmortem at about a month from now. And then I said, so does anybody have any? So does anybody have any ideas of what we do? So I'm looking around the room, and like everybody's looking at me, and nobody has any ideas. And I said, I have an idea. I said, my idea is that we go up to Oregon, and we meet with Sequent, and we ask them for $100,000. This is the guys that just canceled the contract. And then there's silence in the room, and they're all looking at me like, what are you thinking about, right?
Yeah, they just refused us. Yeah.
I said, look, there's 3 reasons to do this. I said, first, no project that fails doesn't have, 2 parties in it. There's got to be some guilt on the other side. I said, second of all, we need to beg for mercy. We need to go in there and beg for mercy and say, we're a startup company. We just went public, this is going to be a terrible thing for us, yada, yada. We're going to beg for mercy. We're going to lay all this stuff out, and we're going to shed a tear in front of them. And third, we're going to give them an absolutely clean release. And I said, what do you guys think of that? And they said, oh, yeah, And the guy who owned that account, that part of the business was in the room. And I said, do you think you could go deliver that message? He said, yeah. I said, you don't have to stay the rest of the meeting. Leave the meeting, go to the airport,
Get out of here.
Get out of here, go up there and
Yeah.
talk to them, call me when you know something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So now there's like this tiny little glimmer of, light, on the horizon. And then I said, so has anybody else got any ideas? And so the sales guy says, well, we got this deal over in London. Maybe we could pull something in. And I said, who owns that deal? And he said the name of the salesman. I don't know if you know Peter Levine. He was the salesman at the time.
Yeah, he's the Andreessen Horowitz part guy. Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
He was a young salesman at the time.
Wow, really? That's so cool.
Yeah, he comes. I said, well, get him in the meeting. So he comes in the meeting. I said, so the news? He said, yeah. I said, we want to go, and talk to these guys. It was a $250,000 deal. And we want to make an offer to him of $175,000 if you sign it like now.
So he jumped on a plane and.
No. So I said, what do you think, right?
Oh.
So he said, yeah, I think we can do that. So I said, okay, so do you have your passport with you?
Because it's in London.
Yeah, he's wearing he got an office day, wearing a t-shirt, shorts and flip-flops, right? I said, you don't need to go home. Go to the airport. We'll have a ticket waiting for you. Get on an airplane, go to London, get the job done.
And he did it.
He said, okay.
See?
So he goes right to the airport. And on his way to the airport, he calls this guy up in London and says, I'm coming to do a deal and I need some help. And the guy said, well, what do you need? He says, I have no place to sleep. I have no clothes and I have no toiletries. Can you help me out?
Wow. That hustle.
Goes, it was heroic, right? I mean, we did this heroic stuff, right? And so he left the meeting and I said, call me when you know something, right? And then, so we now got 175 plus 100. We got 275 on 350. I said, so what else? And then we just figured out, how to close the gap on there. So
made the quarter.
Here's the deal. So yeah, no, but it was.
Company survived.
No, but it was more than that. It was more than the mechanics of it. It was this team of people coming together, facing adversity of enormity, right? Enormous adversity, and coming together and doing something about it. And it was a moment in time of leadership for me that I didn't come in and become part of the problem. I became, part of the solution. And I was able, and I couldn't have done this if I didn't have 2 days to kind of calm down and think about it, right? And then after that
weekend.
I always looked at crises as a way to bind people together and build camaraderie and build loyalty. Those are times of opportunity, these crises, right? And I didn't know that before that time.
Do you think the fact for me? Yeah. Do you think the fact that you were in Nature Point Reyes is a nice little area in north of the Golden Gate Bridge, for those of you that don't know, but do you think there was some element of you being in nature and just kind of calm?
Had nothing to do with it. I didn't even know where I was. I didn't even know where I was.
But you had the weekend to mull it over.
But the only thing I could think of once I got that news was that news. That's the only thing that was, I just didn't have capacity to think about anything else. So that had nothing to do with anything. There was no restorative value.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I think had you not been in sales, you probably would not have been this, undefeatable. Do you agree? So that sales background kind of kicked in?
Well, I always
had you been an engineer, you're like, oh shit, okay, we lost it, Or I don't know.
There's some truth to that, but it's also part of your character. I'm genetically optimistic and I'm genetically happy, right? And being genetically optimistic lets you see opportunity rather than adversity, right? So yeah, I look at those things and say, I don't say let's close the doors. I said, what are we going to do about it? And more than that, I thought about the dynamics of the company and the dynamics of the team and the leadership stuff over the weekend, which I had not done before. And that was a very rewarding moment in my life.